Hey, everybody out there in Cryptid land. Me and my buddy Dirty over there have an old guest on the show tonight, OldBear. He was our first interview, and I'm so happy to have him back. He's got some more interesting Bigfoot stories for us, and we talk a little bit about this and a little bit about that, but it's all interesting. So join us tonight on the
Cryptid Quest Podcast.
All right, tonight we are bringing back OldBear. He was my first interview on this podcast, and man, oh man, did he have some cool stories. We talked about Bigfoot and Dogman and all kinds of good stuff. So, and he's got some more good stuff for us tonight. So I'm going to introduce OldBear. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, bud.
All right. So, what things have been happening to you lately?
Oh, this has not been a good time for me. This past weekend, my water burst, and then electrical socket caught on fire.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's been a rough weekend.
Sounds like it.
This week ain't been no fun either. I've put 3,000 miles on the tractor this week. So.
Holy cow. Wow.
Yeah.
So, I know you've had some more Bigfoot encounters at your house that were sounding pretty scary, if you ask me. But what's going on?
It wasn't scary to me. It would, if I wouldn't have been here, my wife would have been highly upset. What happened was there was a young adult. He's not a juvenile anymore. He's a young adult. And the clan that comes in and stays across the road from us, he's kind of the most inquisitive one out of all of them. And he decided he was going to come over and walk through my yard.
Oh, wow.
And we were laying in bed, and it was about 2:30 in the morning, prime time for them.
Yeah.
And he stopped at our bedroom window because she has a nightlight on in our bedroom. And he saw the light. Well, there's lights outside of my house that I leave on all the time. And I saw there was no light coming through the window. And he was blocking all the light out. And, I growled at him. I was still in bed. I just woke up, and looked up and didn't see any light. And okay, who's the dummy that come to my house? Was the first thing that went through my mind. At that point, I got up and I armed myself, of course, because I didn't know if it was if it was some human or what. I didn't know because you
just don't know these days. Yeah.
Yeah. And I growled. I just kind of went like that, and it turned and started walking off, and I walked over to the other window that's on the same wall in our bedroom, and pulled the blind back, and there was a Bigfoot walking out of my yard.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and of course my phone is in the living room, the family room, and hers is in the family room. They're all plugged up, getting charged overnight. They're not turned on. And I went out the front door, and the time I got out to the front door, he'd already gone.
Yeah.
So the next day was a Sunday, and I had to leave town. And I drove down my second driveway, which is gravel. And at the bottom of the driveway, I set up a flashbang. And a flashbang is nothing but a tin can with black powder in it, a match, and a nail drove through it, and then a clothespin put on there so it'll twist when it gets pulled. And yeah, he decided to come back that night. My neighbor called me Monday evening. He said, "Are you home?" I said, "I just got home." He said, "Well, something went on down there at your house last night, and there was a big bang." I said, "Yeah, I know. I cleaned the mess up." And he's like, "It was one of them boogers, wasn't it?" I said, "Yeah, it was one of them boogers come to pay visit." And he thought he was going to, because it's been whistling at my wife.
Yeah.
When she gets home in the evenings and I'm out of town, it whistles at her.
What kind of how is it whistling? Did she give you like an example of how it's whistling?
Yeah, she did. It just
Okay.
just
Just a simple whistle to get her attention.
it wasn't a wolf whistle.
Okay.
It'd been a wolf whistle, I'd have been armed with a chainsaw going over there. But it would whistle at her when she got out of the car, and then when she would stand there and open the front door, it would whistle at her again. So it was where it could see her.
Yeah.
And it decided it was going to come over and peek in the window. Well, there's blinds there. I mean, it couldn't see in. And there's a curtain. She's very careful about that.
Mm-hmm.
And, she knows they're there. She's heard them. We were, a couple of summers ago, we were on the front porch and one let us scream out while we was on alive. So, she knows they're around. She's not dumb. She's known for quite a while about them. And then about 3 years ago, she saw 3 little ones at Salt Fork, and she's a knower and a believer now.
Oh,
so.
yeah. That's totally different category when you're a knower.
Yeah. And, sometimes they get out of hand. The young ones, they try to push. And all I did was he walked into that flashbang and he got the message real quick. Black powder going off stinks, and it throws a white light, and it throws a big old cloud up. And, yeah, he found out pretty quick that he's not welcome over here. And then I went over to the edge of where they stay, and in English just told the big alpha that's over there. I told him, I said, "Look, if your clan comes over here again, I'm coming back. And it ain't gonna be pretty." And the next night, I stayed in town on Tuesday and came home, and he grunted at me from over on the hill. So evidently he did something to that young male and made him understand he's not welcome here.
So, and it hasn't come back since?
No.
That's
good. They don't come in my yard. After I saw the big alpha out here going up the side of my yard one morning at 4 a.m, I growled at it. It growled back at me, and I said, "If you come back, I'm gonna hunt you all down."
Yeah.
And they haven't come back except for that juvenile. He's got a complex or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, unruly teenagers.
Well, he's an adult. He's an adult male, and there's nothing mentally wrong with that creature.
Yeah.
It's just he's fascinated with my wife for some reason, and I really don't like that.
No, I don't blame you.
I'm a little bit jealous.
Yeah. I don't blame you. So could you? And you said you got to look at it through the window. Could you? How big is he? Could you get a gauge
He's about
on it?
7.5 foot tall. He's almost tall as his dad.
Oh, okay.
I think he's the son of the alpha male. He's about 7.5 foot tall, so he ain't full grown yet.
Okay.
But he's about 3.5 to 4 foot wide at the shoulders, big old muscled arms. I mean, he just walks around like this.
Yeah.
He kind of waddles when he walks because he's awkward still.
Yeah.
And, he just hasn't learned how to do everything correctly yet. And the alpha male has to teach him that stuff. So,
Yeah. So other than that, has there been anything else going on around, or have you been doing any investigating or tromping around?
well, we went to last spring and last summer. We were at Salt Fork in the spring, and we got a bonnet goose. A tree limb was ripped out of a tree, and we found that. There were some growls and grunts right there in the campground. And we went to my buddy's place that lives just out the road from us. And the activity's pretty much calmed down out there at his house, which is a good thing because they were tormenting his dogs. Like every 15 minutes they would do something and the dogs would go crazy.
Oh, man.
But that's calmed down. That's a good thing. There's been a few sightings out just within miles of our home of some Bigfoot, and I went out and investigated 2 of those sightings and found footprints, and the people were like, well, what is this? And I had to explain to them that it was a Bigfoot, Sasquatch. And they're like, those things ain't real. I said, then what made that footprint?
Yeah.
What ripped that tree up there at about 12 foot?
Yeah.
Ripped the top out of the tree. You tell me what done it. Oh, bear. No, bear didn't do that. I'm a bear hunter. I know what a bear will do. It don't grab an oak tree that's 20 foot tall and break it.
Yeah.
They can't do that. They're strong, but they're not that strong.
Yeah.
And, I showed them what was going on, and about 2 weeks later, that couple moved out of the house.
They had enough, huh?
And they left.
Yeah. So does it seem like the activity picks up or drops off at any particular times of the year?
Well, the funny thing is, this clan over here, they'll come and show up for 3 to 6 months, and then they'll disappear for 3 months.
Huh.
And then they'll come back. But they always seem to come back in the fall, no matter what, how long they've been gone or whatever. They always come back in the fall because there's hunters, all West Virginia has, there's 400,000 hunters that go into the woods on the first day of rifle season, which is the week of Thanksgiving here. And there's hunters around here all the time, and they push deer into this holler, and the Bigfoot take advantage of that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, because they probably take advantage of the deer getting in a local area. Plus, so many reports of Bigfoots taking kills from hunters.
Yeah.
So that's an easy food. So I can imagine around there.
Yeah, there's more deer in this state of West Virginia than there are people.
Oh, cow.
They estimate the population of West Virginia at 1.5 million people, and the white-tailed deer is estimated to be at 1.8.
Holy
million.
cow! Wow.
So yeah,
That's
they got
a
us
lot of deer.
outnumbered.
Yeah, I'd say so. So, and I heard something kind of interesting from somebody on one of my interviews pertaining to Dogman and Bigfoot, kind of like the relationship. And he kind of had a theory that Dogmen might be almost like caregivers to the little Bigfoot. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, when it comes to Dogman, I've heard over the years of Bigfoot taking the pups when they're pups and raising them on their own and they tend to use them like we do hounds.
Okay.
You know, they herd deer with them and stuff like that. And it's not far-fetched. I just never have seen it. It's just, you know, I know some other investigators that have seen dog man with young adults, Bigfoot,
Oh, okay.
female and male. So, and I take them at their word.
Yeah.
You know, I've known them for quite a long time, and they've never lied to me about anything, and they've helped me on investigations before. So, I take them at their word.
That seems like that might actually put a little weight behind his theory.
It could, yes.
Huh. That's really interesting. And another thing I talked to him about, which I thought was another really interesting theory, is because I don't like to discount anything. And, you know,
Right.
and I ask a lot of people about like what they think about the orbs and stuff. And I asked him about it. And he believes that they're, and I can't say I don't believe. I'm not seen one personally. I've seen photographs that are very intriguing, but he thinks the orbs might be fairies. And I'm like, well, why do the orbs end up around the Bigfoot areas a lot of times? And he seemed to have a theory that maybe they're like a spiritual guide for the Bigfoot, or they just kind of watch out for them and stuff, or maybe help them.
Well, I've seen orbs in the woods before, a long time ago, and it was supposed to be. I was in one of them hollers where, you know, families got into a battle with each other, and people died. And I went in there to investigate with a paranormal guy. He wanted to go in and check it out and didn't want to go by himself. Now we went in there and people told me, he said, yeah, they've seen boogers in the holler and everything else. And we went in there and he videoed orbs, 4 or 5 different orbs. And I saw them with my own eyes, but it was just an energy. It wasn't you know, something that had wings and flew around. But there was no Bigfoot associated with it. I've never seen orbs in the area of Bigfoot.
Okay.
You know, I've just never seen it. I don't discredit somebody for thinking that or believing it, but if you got a picture of a Bigfoot with fairies or orbs in the same picture, send it to me.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it.
I want to see
and
it
then
too.
I'll take your word for it.
I talked to, and I also heard that he, not a Bigfoot and a fairy in the same picture, but, and this was kind of strange to me. Somebody took a picture of an orb, and you kind of see a Bigfoot in the orb, like inside the orb is like the figure of a Bigfoot, and I thought that was strange. I mean, I don't know.
Here's the thing. You can take any picture. Take a picture in the woods, daytime, nighttime, whatever. And you can blow it up big enough to get a face out of it. It's called pareidolia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's something that you have to be really careful with, because I've had so many pictures sent to me. People send them to me in emails. They send them to me through Facebook. They send them through all sorts of stuff. And I'll look at them. And they're like, yeah, and they got this big red circle around it 3 or 4 times. And they're like an arrow pointing at the face. And I'm like, okay, how big did you blow the picture up? And when you ask that question, you're like, well, I blew it up probably 20 times. Okay, well, you can make a face out of anything.
Yeah.
In the wild. Um, if it's the way I look at it is anything like that, you have to kind of be very skeptical of it because it's not that you're saying they're a liar. It's just that you're trying to further Bigfoot research. You're trying to get science to take a look at something that they keep saying is not there. And only way to do that is give them top-notch evidence, footprints, pictures of Bigfoot, not pictures that are blown up, because if it has to be blown up, then you got to throw it out.
Yeah, I got you.
And you have to look at it scientifically. As a scientist, what would they want? And if you don't do it that way, then they just look at you and go, yeah, that's a Bigfoot. And they just kind of smile and they just kind of go, yeah, whatever. You don't want that. You want someone that is a scientist to take a look at your evidence. And if you do it that way, you blow something up and say, look, there's a face. No, it's not a face. If you have to blow it up, then you need to work a little harder to get a better picture.
Yeah.
To get an actual picture of a Bigfoot's face.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So I look at it from the scientific standpoint. I have since I started doing this all those years ago. And if you don't, then you're going to go off down. You're going to be going through a rabbit warren instead of going down one hole and getting the truth. You're going through the whole warren and you're just chasing your own tail.
Yeah.
So you can't do that.
Yeah. Last time we talked, I don't remember if we talked about portals or not. Because we did?
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about it. We touched it, and I kind of portals are for demonic beings or angelic beings. The only way for a Bigfoot to create a portal, and mankind, the U.S. government has tried this, and it took 7 nuclear power plants, the electricity from 7 nuclear power plants, to produce a portal that lasted 10 whole seconds.
I think I remember. I remember now us talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
a Bigfoot can't generate that kind of power. They're an earthly being.
Yeah, I've heard of natural portals around the world, but like I said, I'm not a scientist. I don't know if that's possible. I mean, a lot of people seem to believe in it.
It's possible to have portals, but 9 times out of 10, it's created by something that's either demonic or angelic, so it can enter into this world for a short period of time, and then it has to leave again.
Yeah.
Unless it's demonic and it possesses someone, then it doesn't have to leave.
I got
But you have to be willing to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I recently have talked to somebody, and this, I don't know, this kind of blew my mind too. I got somebody that told me they saw what they called a deer man. They said they heard some crashing, come out of the woods, and it was a deer, but they said it had a man's face. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
Yes. Somebody, a very good friend of mine, said that he saw one, and I questioned him. I questioned him for 2 hours on this.
Yeah.
And he swears to it. I haven't personally seen it.
Yeah.
But, who knows how many different cryptids there are, around the world. You don't know for sure. And it could have been, something like a skinwalker taking the shape of a deer, but with a human face. It could be something like that. skinwalkers can take any shape or form of an animal, and and they can take the form of the human. Because they're spiritual beings. They're not good spiritual beings. They're bad, and that's why everybody's scared to death of them. And yeah, they scare me somewhat, but I kind of hedge my bets, and I'll stick with being saved, and if they come after me, we're going to have a war.
I got you. Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, my mind kind of went to the towards Skinwalker when I first heard it. But you telling me your buddy saw one too, that now I'm even more intrigued. I'm trying to get him to come on the show.
That was the thing. I mean, he was like, I was just out Bigfooting and got back to my car, and this thing stepped out on the other side of my car right there at the edge of the woods. And I'm like, well, what'd it look like? And he's like, you're not going to believe me. I'm like, dude, okay, you saw another Bigfoot. That'll make what, 6 or 7 for you?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it wasn't a Bigfoot. I said, well, what was it? I said, don't tell me it's a skinwalker. He said, no, it didn't have the skull of a deer on its head, and didn't have the deer antlers on it, didn't have fur pelts around it and everything else. He said, this looked like a deer, but had a human face.
That's creepy.
And I looked at it, and we were standing 2 feet from each other talking.
Yeah.
And I said, things starting to get to you? And I said, do we need to sit down and have, a talk? Or do we need to sit down and, am I going to have to go and get holy water and all this stuff and excise the spirit off from you or something like that? He's like, no. He said, I saw it for probably 10 seconds, and it was right underneath a light in the parking lot where I go Bigfooting. And I'm like, I know where you Bigfoots. And the parking lot is well lit. He actually Bigfoots in a small state park just near the West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky line. And there's Bigfoot in there. We went in there and we've seen him. So he knows what he's looking at, and it freaked him out pretty good. It upset him, and he quit going for about 3 months because of it.
Wow.
And then he got the itch back again, and he went back, and he never saw it again. He just saw it that one time for about 10 seconds, and that's all it took.
Well, I think that's all it would take me too. Wow, I don't even think it would take 10.
Well, you're not alone there.
Yeah.
If one walks out in front of me and it's 10 seconds long seeing it, I'm probably going to be, okay, do I shoot this thing and turn it into steaks? Or it's just one of them situations where you got to figure it out on your own.
Yeah. I just know in my own head right now, I can picture a Bigfoot, and it doesn't really creep me out. But when I try to put that image of a deer with a human face in my mind, it's just not right.
Yeah, it doesn't compute.
Yeah.
And I tried to picture it that evening. Like I said, we talked for 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And he gave a perfect description of the face.
Wow.
The body. It was on 4 legs, like a deer.
Yeah. That's
the body
nuts.
of a deer, the neck of a deer, but a human face.
That's nuts.
How does that work?
How does that work?
I don't know. And
so when he described it, the face, did it have like ears like a deer and a face, or was the whole head a deer, or did he not go that much into detail?
Yeah, he said it looked like a human's head,
Head.
but
Okay.
but
Yeah.
it had a deer's ears at the top of its head.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
And he,
I have no answer for
yeah,
that.
I don't know. It's still really interesting.
Yeah.
That makes me feel a little better hearing that you know somebody that encountered that, and not that I discounted this person. I mean, I've got no reason to discount them.
Right.
I really want to dig into it, but now this makes me want to dig into it more. Um, but it's another thing that's kind of interesting is when people go out to look for one thing and end up encountering another.
Mm-hmm.
Because another guy I recently talked to, they were paranormal investigators, and they were going out to do a paranormal investigation
Mm-hmm.
at this spot, and well, his buddy thought it was a skinwalker, but the way he described it, it 1000% sounded like a Bigfoot to me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, it was stepping back and forth, and he said it was just huge, about 7, 8 foot tall, glowing red eyes. Said it wasn't eye shine, it was glowing red eyes,
Yeah.
and his buddy thought it was a skinwalker, and I'm just like, man, oh man, that just sounds like a freaking Bigfoot to me. So,
I've got and the funny thing is I'm known as a Bigfooter. I'm known in the Bigfoot world. I'm not well known. I'm just known.
yeah.
Everybody doesn't know me personally because I kept to myself for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, there's probably been 6 or 8 paranormal groups that go out to these old houses out in off the road. It's a half a mile in down a gravel road to this haunted house, and they've had Bigfoot activity, especially if they break out a Ouija board.
Really?
And evidently, Bigfoot does not like you playing with a Ouija board.
Really?
The I got an account from a paranormal group. They called me. They were looking in. They were at this haunted house, haunted. You remember the old style, big white columns in front of the plantation
Oh
house
yeah.
and all
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yeah.
They went to a plantation house down in South Carolina. And they went and did an investigation. And one of the women there, she was a Wiccan, and she broke out a Ouija board. And they started messing around with the planchette and all that stuff, and they were getting some answers, from it moving and all that stuff. And she opened it, and she was getting ready to close it, and then they had a big bang on the outside wall in the room. They were sitting on, like, you go through the front door, and there was this living room off to the left,
Mm-hmm.
and they were sitting, all of them were sitting in there, sitting down on the ground, on the floor, and there was a bang. He said it shook the house as hard as it hit.
Oh wow.
And they all screamed. There's 4 guys and 2 girls, and the
Yeah.
guys screamed just as loud as the girls
I
did.
probably would have too.
And he said we jumped up. Said 2 of us, him and another guy jumped up, ran out the front door, and when they went to the end of the porch, there was a Bigfoot standing there at the end of the porch. And it looked up at him, and it started snarling and growling at him, and it was PO'd at them for playing with that Ouija board. And they ran back in the house and slammed the what was left of the front door. It wasn't going to stop no Bigfoot anyway.
Yeah.
And ran in there and told her, said, "You got to close that thing. There is a creature out there that's ready to eat it, kill us and eat us." And she closed it, and it walked back and forth the side of the house and across the front of the porch and wasn't going to let him leave.
Oh.
And finally, about 3 a.m, this creature finally walked off. It held him captive in there for about 4 hours.
Holy cow.
And they were scared to death the whole time. They were taking anything and everything they could and putting it in front of the door, front of the windows that were broken out and everything else. And when they left, they went out, they all ran out and got in their van. And the one of the girls had driven a car with one of the guys. They were boyfriend and girlfriend. And they went out to go get in their car, and the hood of their car was crushed.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah, they couldn't drive it. It blew both front tires out.
Holy cow. Like he just went,
Right.
Hulked it.
And they heard it.
Oh,
and
crap.
they started to go out the door because it set the alarm off. And when the alarm went off, it irritated the Bigfoot more, and the whole hood was caved down.
Oh, wow.
Where it just bang, bang, bang.
Oh.
Trying to shut the alarm off, and finally she shut it off with the
key fob. Oh, wow. Wow. But that was the last time they played with the Ouija board in a plantation house.
They unsurreptitiously kicked the lady that brought the Ouija board out of the group.
Oh, man, she didn't mean no harm.
No, she didn't, but it scared them all bad enough that they didn't go doing any paranormal or anything out in the middle of nowhere for about 6 or 8 months. And then they went back to the same plantation, done another investigation without her and without the Ouija board, never had no trouble.
Wow. That's cool that they didn't have any trouble, but sometimes that's what you're going out there for, trouble. I mean,
well,
honestly,
they had paranormal stuff. They just didn't have the
Bigfoot on
stuff,
the brain.
so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of crazy though. So that makes me think sometimes they have to have some kind of spiritual connection if they're able to pick up on stuff like that, because the other guy I was telling you about, it kind of sounded like the Bigfoot was trying to get him out of there too, which I think it was a bit. I mean, obviously, we don't know what it was. He didn't get a clear look at it. He's just said it was a dark figure in the woods, really big, glowing red eyes. Hell, as far as I know, it could have been a dog man. I really don't know.
Well, yeah.
But and I would think a dog man would probably have more of a connection with like paranormal stuff like that than a Bigfoot. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Bigfoot can pick up on that stuff. And
well, according to the Native American, they used to do. There were tribes out in the West that had, what were they called? Shaman.
Yep.
And if a shaman went bad and started doing bad magic, the Bigfoot would evidently intercede. And either that shaman disappeared or they traumatized him to the point where he never ever tried to delve into black magic again. And a lot of people, the funniest thing is you get these groups that say they're Wiccan or they're warlocks or they're druids. They're affiliated with that. A lot of them groups, when they're out in the woods, Bigfoot tends to shadow them, and when they start doing stuff bad, they will intercede to break it up so they can't bring something in this world. Because a Bigfoot can be, in my personal opinion, a Bigfoot can be possessed by a demon, because of the way that they came to be, the way I believe they came to be. And because of that, they don't want nothing to do with it. They don't want anything to upset their clan or, harm someone in the clan because they became possessed from a demon or whatever. Because the demon, in order to survive in this world, it has to have a host.
Yeah.
And it can use it can use animals, it can use Bigfoot, people, something
Objects.
of that nature. And it can do
I think it can do objects too, from what I've heard.
Yeah. Dolls, coins, toys, jewelry, chest of drawers, wardrobes. I used to do paranormal a long time ago before I done Bigfoot. And I was a teenager and somebody asked me to go with them and we did paranormal for about 6 months. And I was like, this ain't fun. I don't like being scared to death all the time. When you go into a dark house or something and sounds start happening, stuff moves. I'm leaving. See you.
Yeah.
Let me deal with the hairy creatures. I don't want nothing to do with that.
Yeah. Since last time we talked, I've gotten quite a hand. Oh, actually, I got another Bigfoot question. Do you think that they could do anything with like their frequency or their vibration to
I mean, I've never seen a human do it. And
Yeah.
I've never seen a Bigfoot do it. So I don't. They may be able to orally do something with their tone to change it in some form to cause something to happen. Much like a person can hit a certain note and break a wine glass or break a bottle or something of that nature. I don't see that they can change their frequency, their body frequency or whatever to manipulate things. I've had a lot of people tell me, well, my digital camera, the batteries went dead. We were standing there looking at a Bigfoot and I tried to get a picture and looked at my phone or at my camera and it's completely dead. And when the Bigfoot walks off, it's fully charged. Something's wrong with the camera. I don't think they have that. I don't think they can modulate their frequency to draw a battery to make it show dead, and then when they leave, it changes back to normal.
Yeah, I got you. So, and actually, where I was getting ready to go a minute ago is lately I've been getting a handful of it's like Thunderbird or pterodactyl encounter stories. And
we have those tales here in West Virginia.
So I mean, it's kind of strange to me. I mean, and I've been getting them from like Michigan to Washington State. I'm trying to think of where else. I can't think of off the top, but I've had about 4 or 5 of them. So
it's usually a state that is heavily forested, so that way they can hide. There's not a lot of population, and if you think about it, Michigan's population is in around Ann Arbor. It's around major cities in Michigan.
Yeah.
But once you get outside of those major cities, there's a lot of forest in Michigan. Same thing for Washington State. If you get away from, Olympia and you get out into the major forests, there's, who knows what's going to hide out there.
Yeah.
I don't discredit someone because, I saw a Thunderbird or I saw a pterodactyl. Okay, they're supposed to be extinct.
Yeah.
But there are Bigfoot here. There are dogmen here. They've been around thousands of years, as long as, probably not as long as we have, but shortly after we came into being, after we were created, something created them. And, this world is an amazing thing. Creatures from thousands or hundreds of thousands of years ago are being seen today. There's people that said they've seen raptors. The ones on the 2 feet that's got the long claw that'll rip you in half. People have seen pterodactyls. People have seen, and people think the Loch Ness monster is a plesiosaur. So, I mean, it's not beyond the scope of these beings being here. They can hide.
Yeah.
And they only get seen once in a while. It's not an everyday occurrence. It's the same thing with Bigfoot and Dogman, or the Rake, or whatever.
Honestly, I bet you Bigfoot
things
isn't.
like that.
I bet you Bigfoot is an everyday experience, because I bet you there's at least one seen every day somewhere.
Oh yeah.
I would guess.
Well, there's probably, if you go worldwide, there's probably 20 or 30 sightings a day.
I believe that.
Across the world.
Yeah.
And all they're seeing is, they're seeing the Almasty, or they're seeing the Yeren, or they're seeing the Yowie, or somebody's seen a Bigfoot, or somebody's seen a Sasquatch. It just depends on what part of the world you're in. They have so many different names, and people never used to put it together. And once we got the internet, it's like it all come together.
Yeah.
And sightings. If we were able to take and write down all the sightings every day that people put on the internet, and we're able to research each and every one of them, you'd probably boil it down to 20 or 30 sightings, actual sightings. Not, I think I saw a Bigfoot, or I thought I saw a Yeren, or I thought I saw a Yowie. I'd say 20 to 30 a day. Yeah. So, however many billions of people are here in the world, what is there, 8 billion people now, or something like that, 7 billion?
Yeah.
But you boil it down to 20 or 30 a day, that's not a very high percentage of people seeing one.
No.
That's less than 1%.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, but to me, I know they're out there. I know I'm a knower too.
I know.
And you talk about like the woods everywhere. Like my buddy out in Washington State, he's got them in his backyard, but his backyard is 1 million wooded acres.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just boggles my mind how many could actually be out in that 1 million acres. If you got, a tribe in your backyard, how many more freaking tribes are out there? But for some reason, the Bigfoot up there don't really give the fear in my heart that the Bigfoot like around here and like around where you are kind of do. They just seem to be so much more laid back there and so much more aggressive here. Yeah.
They are. The Bigfoot out west have not been shot at like the ones here in the east. The ones here in the east, and they're very particular about, what you're doing in the woods. If you're doing something they perceive as a threat, they can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
If you're doing something and you're just walking through the woods they'll follow you around to make sure you don't do something wrong. They've been the Bigfoot here in the East. They've been shot at for what? 300, 400, 500 years.
Yeah.
The Native Americans shot at them. The conquistadors, they shot at them. The European settlers came in. We started shooting at them. You know, our ancestors killed how many of them? You know, you don't know.
Yeah. So people that, and the funniest thing I find is, you know, you come here in the East, say you go to New York City or go to Atlanta, Georgia, or go to Charlotte, North Carolina. Those are major cities here in the East. And people are like, there ain't no Bigfoot within 100 miles of here. What they don't know is those Bigfoot are coming into the back of the strip malls late at night, feeding out of the dumpsters. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's easy food. I mean, think about it. How many? You got a Subway, you got a Burger King, you got a McDonald's, you got a Wendy's, you got a Taco Bell, you got Jersey Mike's. You know, you got a strip mall that's got 30 or 40 stores in it. Sometimes half of those stores are, you know, fast food restaurants. What do they do with all that food at the end of the night when they close up?
Yeah.
Most of that stuff gets thrown away. What's the easiest thing for a Bigfoot to do? Come out to the dumpster and flip it open and grab a bag and go, oh,
thank you.
I did all my hunting for one night.
Yep.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Take it right back to the clan, and they've got 30 or 40 pounds of meat to eat on.
Well, I think we might have talked about this the first time we talked, but the Bigfoot they caught on video at the casino, and it was getting into a grease trap. You know, and they caught it on camera. They said just dipping in, and I mean, that sounds gross to us, but to them it probably tastes delicious. I mean, you know.
Well, the funny thing is, that casino that's there off of I-40 where they got the video, I stayed there one night.
Did you really?
In a big truck, and the security guard, you know, he's Native American. I can't remember which tribe he was from, Arapaho or something like that out there. And he said, you're free to park here, but after 10 o'clock at night, don't get out of your truck. And I kind of laughingly looked at him and I said, why shouldn't I get out of my truck? If I got to go to the bathroom, I'm going to the bathroom. Because they have a building that has 3 stalls in it for men and urinals, and then the women have all stalls. And there's like 6 stalls in the women's side. And he's like, you don't want to get out of your truck. I said, why? Do you think one of the big hairy ones is going to come over and give me a hug? He just kind of looked at me. What do you mean the hairy ones? And he got very deadly serious about this. And he said, that's the reason we have security patrolling here all night to keep them run off this end of the lot. And I'm like, why do they come here? And he said, you see those dumpsters? They hit them about every night or every other night.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, so can I still go to the bathroom? And I was being a smart aleck to him, you know, to a point, but I'm not afraid of him.
Yeah.
And I told him what I do, and I showed him that I understand what Bigfoot does. I understand that they come and eat there, and I get it.
Yeah.
And they do other things around that casino. And the funny thing is, I-40's on both sides of that casino.
Huh. Is it really?
So how are
it's
they
in
getting
between?
from one side to the other?
Do they have any road crossing sightings out there? I've never investigated. No? Huh.
No, and there's truck traffic on that interstate all night long.
Well, that's weird. Huh. Huh. Now you've got me intrigued. I got to dig deeper into that.
Well, there's a 12-foot drain underneath the interstate. 12 foot high.
Like a culvert?
About like a culvert.
Yeah.
Yes. It's made out of concrete, and it's concrete and steel.
Yeah.
And it's open all the way through to the other side of the interstate. From
one side to the other? Oh, hell. Man, I know where I'd want to, well, maybe I don't want to be sitting in there when they're getting ready, to go get dinner. Hey, I ain't going to go all the way to the dumpster. Here's a snack right here.
Yeah. I don't even have to go to the dumpster. I can just eat him.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, Bear, it has been fun talking to you as always. I love talking to you. It's so much fun. You got anything you're promoting right now or anything you want people to check out?
We got a couple of, we got a spring camp out coming up in April. We haven't finalized everything yet. We still got to get together and, plan food and who's going to bring what and who's going to do what. And then we'll have another one in August.
Okay. Where do they find out the information?
My birthday.
Where do they find out the information on that at?
All they have to do is come to my Facebook page.
Okay.
Or
Old Bear's Den.
Old Bear's Den.
Yep.
On Facebook. And they can go and join the Ohio Bigfoot Society.
Okay.
The guy that runs it, his name's Josh. He's on there, and he's a good friend of mine. Me and my wife look at him and his wife as a son and daughter, and they're due a third child here before long.
There you go.
It's a little girl.
Oh,
it's what mommy's wanted.
Yeah.
They got 2 little boys. And, they're a handful. Now, a third one's going to be here, and that's going to be another handful. And Daddy's going to have a broken heart when she turns like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to warn him of it, but yeah, go look on my page when everything's finalized. It'll be put up.
All right.
And then in August, it'll be the weekend of my birthday again, August 24th.
Feel free to throw it on my page too if you want. So
I will.
But man, oh man, it was sure good talking to you again, Old Bear. So
Good talking to you, bud.
Yeah. Well, me, Old Bear, and Dirty want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on the Cryptid Quest Podcast, and
keep it creepy.
There you go.
Yeah, out in the woods where the shadows creep, I'm trying to find a legend that the people keep. Bigfoot's the name, got a story to tell. Footprints in the mud, can't you hear the bell? Whispers in the night, can you feel that chill? Bigfoot on the run, he's a legend, keep it real. Bigfoot, yeah, he's the talk of the town. Creeping through the trees, never wearing a frown. Legend of the forest, he's got a big stride. As the trap beats thump, you know he's got pride. Like I'm on a quest, searching for the homie, you know he's the best. Got my camera ready, heightened senses on blast. Snap a shot of Sasquatch, legend unsurpassed. Eyes in the dark, you can't catch what you can't see. King of the woods, living wild and free. Bigfoot, yeah, he's the talk of the town. Creeping through the trees, never wearing a frown. Legend of the forest, he's got a big stride. As the trap beats thump, you know he's got pride.